Hi, welcome to The Smart Student. My name is Chelsea Seaburn. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can stay motivated in your online classes. Oh, motivation. Wouldn't it be nice if you were just always motivated? But if you're watching this right now, something tells me that you know that's not the case. Motivation comes and goes, and for most of us, it seems to go more than it seems to come. But the reason I wanted to make this video now is because I feel like it's relevant to our current situation. Right now, we're in the middle of COVID-19, so many students have had to make the switch from an on-campus physical class to online classes, and I know that transition is rough, especially if you didn't want to do online classes to start. Also, COVID-19 aside, motivation is always a struggle when it comes to online courses. So today that's what I'd like to discuss, because I personally know how tough motivation can be in online schooling. I've completed 2 degrees fully online, so while I'm no expert, I do know a thing or two about staying on track. If this is the first time we're connecting, again, my name is Chelsea Seaburn. I try to give the best tips and tools for the online student. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comment section below. I love to get a sense of community going. It's extremely important in online schooling when you feel like you're going at it alone sometimes. But with no further ado, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you're excited to get motivated, and let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so tip number 1 to stay motivated when you're in online classes, and that is to set a schedule. Your schedule will depend on you, your situation, and the different things you're balancing in your life, but ultimately setting a schedule that's designed for your online classes is so important. When you go to a physical university, everything is laid out for you. It's easy to stay on track because you know when to show up to your classes. Your teachers tell you what to study, how to study. So it's very simple to keep stepping along, which in turn I think keeps the momentum going and keeps you motivated. So my best advice here is to replicate this, but for your home schedule. This will depend on if you're working, if you have kids to take care of, and the other factors that steal your time during your day. But what you're gonna do is plan out the times that you're gonna work on your schoolwork and do homework, complete assignments, complete reading in a non-negotiable manner, the same way that going to a physical class is. You know, back when you were going to a campus university, if you had class every Tuesday at 9 a.m., you most likely never skipped out on that because you needed to attend it in order to get through your classes and eventually graduate. It's important that you view your at-home schedule with the same importance because it's very easy to fall behind and procrastinate when you don't have it. I recommend planning out your classes a week ahead and then adjusting accordingly where you need to. A week ahead is far enough out where you can foresee your full schedule, but not so far out that you forget what you're scheduling. I've found that you'll stay attached to your work in week increments. If you were to plan out the month, there's a good chance you would forget what you planned, and therefore you'll fall off your motivation. And when you plan out your weekly class schedule, I suggest making it as detailed as possible. For example, instead of saying work on economics homework from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., go ahead and block out the 4-hour time frame, but then go in and put what you're gonna work on when. For example, maybe you're gonna respond to 2 or 3 discussion posts when you first log on to your school site, spend an hour researching for a paper you're going to write soon, spend an hour writing the paper, and then maybe you're gonna finish with an hour of upcoming reading. The more detailed, the better, because it'll map out exactly what you're supposed to do, so you'll be able to see how long you're working on projects, how long it takes you to complete certain tasks, where your weak points are and where you need to improve. It'll keep you on track to turn in your assignments when they're due, and it'll keep you motivated as you complete those small tasks throughout your list. But moving on to tip number 2, and that is to set up a designated workspace. This will depend on your home and what you have available, but it's very important that where you do your homework is meant for doing homework. Now let me explain. So one of the major benefits of being in online classes is the relaxed environment of being able to work on your classwork wherever you'd please. And so if you're in online classes, I'm going to assume that at some point you have, or you will, try and open your laptop, say from the comfort of your bed, the comfort of your couch, maybe your TV's on, somewhere comfortable and slightly distracted, but hey, you're dedicated, so you're not gonna be the one to be distracted. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I've tried that before, I'd like to ask you, how did that go? Chances are it was really hard to focus on your classwork. This is because when you try and do your homework in an area of your house or wherever that's clearly used for another activity, your brain is subconsciously going to be in the mindset of that other activity. So when you lay in bed and try and do your homework, chances are your brain is going to start to get sleepy, your eyes might get heavy. Next thing you know, you're taking a nap. At least I know that's how it worked for me. I also found that this would happen to me when I tried to work on homework from the comfort of my couch. Somehow my TV would get powered on and Netflix would pop up and then my laptop would just disappear for the day. Anyways, the point here is I don't recommend working on your homework wherever you feel like it, because usually when it's time to work on homework, the things you feel like doing is anything but homework. What I do recommend doing is setting up a place in your house that's designated solely for your homework. If you have room for a desk, that's the best case scenario. You can design, organize, and decorate to your preferences. But if you don't have space for a desk, sitting at your kitchen table is a great alternative. Sitting at your coffee table in the living room can also work. Or maybe it's going to a coffee shop when things open up again. But when it comes to this designated schoolwork space, it doesn't always have to be the same space every time. But it should create the same environment that signals to your mind, oh hey, it's time to work on homework. So a few different ways that you could create your environment are, maybe it's having that early morning coffee or that late afternoon tea when you work on your classwork. For me, I had a special playlist on my Spotify that every time I went to work on my homework, I would listen to it because it always put me in the mood to work on classwork. Having a homework playlist was great because anytime I worked on homework outside of my desk, I would pop that in and immediately I'd go to my homework place. I would also cycle different candles on my desk that I like to light. It just felt inviting to me. So what I suggest is finding what works best for you and then making it your designated homework space. All right, tip number 3, get ready. Now this is gonna look different for everyone, but basically do what you need to do to make you feel as though you're ready to go. This could simply be getting up, brushing your teeth, putting on something that's not your pajamas, or it can mean getting up and doing your hair and makeup, maybe getting in a little workout, putting on a nice outfit, and then sitting down to do your homework. But let's say you're someone who was going to campus classes and now you're going to online classes. I suggest replicating a very similar routine to how you would get ready to go to school. Because while it might be tempting to stay in your pajamas all day, you want to make sure your mind gets out of your pajama mindset and is the most effective and efficient for you. For example, you know when you don't feel like working out, but then once you put on your workout clothes, you tie your running shoes, you pop in your headphones, the music starts going, it's like your body starts waking up and it's all of a sudden ready to go do your workout. I've found that the same principle applies to your classwork. So for me, what I would do is I would go through my morning routine, I would make my cup of coffee, brush my teeth, put on something comfortable but not my pajamas, and at that point I was ready to work on my homework. I've gone through plenty of times where my motivation was low and I tried to skip some of my morning routine activities, or let's say I didn't brush my teeth or I stayed in my pajamas and I tried to work on my homework. Every time I felt lethargic, most of the time I would quit early, or I just wouldn't do my best work. So whatever steps, activities, or things that you normally do that bring you to your best self, I suggest doing those because they will keep you motivated and stop you from procrastinating or stop you from falling off track. But moving on to my next tip, and this is probably one of the most important ones, and that is to get rid of distractions. I'm probably gonna sound like your mother right now, but guys, if you want to succeed in your online classes, put down the distractions. Yes, this includes your iPhone. Rule number 1, put your phone on silent, put it face down on your desk. If it's still too distracting, if you're working on your homework and you can just feel the energy and feeling all your notifications right there next to you, put your phone in another room. If you're working in a coffee shop and your phone is too distracted in your purse, leave your phone in your car. When I used to work on classwork, I actually set a rule where I didn't check any social media until afternoon. Even if I wasn't actively looking at my social media while I was working on my classwork, I found that sometimes I'd wake up in the morning, I'd scroll through the feed, and then my mind would be focused on the different things I saw. My focus and my attention span significantly improved when I just stopped looking looking at social media altogether on class days until I was done with my homework. Now, if that's too extreme for you, that's fine, I get it, but set boundaries that are gonna keep you from that scroll hole. The next thing I suggest doing is putting your computer or your laptop on Do Not Disturb. This includes blocking any email notifications or social media notifications, all the text messages and phone calls that might come through on your computer. Put it on Do Not Disturb during your working hours. If you live with someone, make sure they know when your class work hours are so they're not interrupting you. My boyfriend works from home full time, but we were really good about doing our work in separate rooms. If he were on a phone call, I would put in headphones and listen to my playlist so I wasn't distracted by what he was saying, and he knew not to come in for random chatting while I was working on homework. Also, don't let yourself become the distraction. When you don't want to do something like work on your homework, oftentimes your brain starts jumping in all these directions. So I suggest keeping post-it notes by you or a notepad so when your brain runs in a different direction, you can quickly write that thought down without having to follow it down its full path. For example, maybe I'd be doing some reading for finance, something really dry, so naturally my mind is pinging in all different directions. All of a sudden I'd be thinking about things I want to put on my grocery list and stuff that I haven't cleaned yet and something I forgot to tell my friend the other day. But by having something that I could jot these down on quickly, I could just put them down on paper, throw them out of my mind, and then revisit them later. When you're not distracted, motivation flows much more freely. So it's important that you set yourself up in the best way possible to focus on your classwork and keep the momentum going. But this leads me into my next tip. And so while it's important to not be distracted and stay focused and work hard if you want to stay motivated, it's also really important that you give yourself breaks. A lot of times, the reason we lose our motivation or we're just not motivated is because we perceive the task at hand too hard or not fun. And so it's only natural that we wouldn't want to do things such as work on our homework. Hence why it's always hard to foster that ongoing motivation. So if you want to stay motivated while working on your classwork, I highly recommend giving yourself frequent and regular breaks. Taking breaks is essential to higher productivity, energy, and your overall concentration. Online courses take a lot out of you because you have to do all the work. There's no teacher telling you what to study, when to pay attention. You have to piece this all together. And because you're piecing it all together, your mind doesn't have the space to wander sometimes like it does in a class environment. I'm not saying you should get used to wandering all the time, but it's important that you give your mind the space to relax from time to time so it can recharge and refresh and come back energized and make a bigger impact. Depending on your attention span, I'd say take a break anywhere from 50 minutes to 90 minutes, and your break should be about 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Anything less isn't enough, and anything more has the potential to steal your focus away for good that day. But what do you do when you take this rest? Easy, anything but your homework. Maybe you just want to sit there for 5 minutes. Maybe you want to take 10 minutes and look at your phone and check in with your friends and family or on social media. My favorite and best suggestion though is to do something that takes you away from your workspace. Get up and move your body. Maybe go for a short walk outside or get up and go to a different area of the house. The goal is to stop concentrating so your mind can replenish its energy. But again, whatever you're doing shouldn't be so enticing that it pulls you away from your studies altogether. So if you are going to sit on your phone and look at your social media, if you find that you're going down a rabbit hole for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I suggest not doing that in the future. Losing motivation is so common for students, especially online students. But if you can implement a few of these tips today, if not all of them, you can develop a give and take relationship or motivation that works best for you. Guys, if you're still here right now, I hope that's because you found this video useful. If you did find it useful, I'd love to know which part helped you the most, but make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe for more videos like this every week. Thank you.